was actually encapsulated as AARD. And since the launch of the plan, the public have not really heard much of what we are doing. So we've taken this opportunity to brief you people to let you know that all the work have been done with our development partner. The most important challenges we've had so far globally is that we have experienced some challenges in global development landscape with the cost of the USAID support to all countries. The European countries, there have been many withdrawal or support or decline in aid architecture, and therefore the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning have decided to organize and stop taking retreat. And this retreat will actually focus on, since we presented the law or the plan to the country, what had happened. And the focus of this retreat will be more a defining movement for Liberia. The AARD was launched taking into consideration resources mobilization from the external partners, from domestic revenue, and also from the donor community in the private sector. With this plan, Liberians have been very optimistic, but in every situation there can be challenges. I remember when we launched the arrest agenda, we clearly informed the public that 30% of the planning process was more comprehensive and inclusive, involving the civil society, private sector, the donor community. In this case, since we have experienced some hitches, we decided to have a special day where we will take time to ask the civil society what are they thinking, the private sector, what are their challenges, the donor community, what are they thinking. And as a result, we're going to repurpose whatever resources we have. We're going to see how best we can realign some funding gaps that have already been created as a result of the withdrawal of the US aid. One thing we can say here is that tomorrow on the Thursday program, it's going to be like creating an innovative partnership engagement, meaning that all of us think together. Let's all of us work together as partners. Not only the donor community. Most of our funding in the past development implementation are always focused on donor aid. But this trip, we are trying to see how best to deepen our engagement with the private sector, how best to increase our domestic resources mobilization. So therefore, tomorrow we'll call a strengthening partnership with our donor community. Stakeholders to be at this retreat will be the UN community, the diplomatic corps in Monrovia, the private sector, the civil society, and most importantly, this meeting will be chaired by the President of the Republic of Liberia. And we call it Coordinated Accountability Section. The reason we call it Coordinated Accountability Section is we're going to be hearing from those who are here to work with us, those who are away, what do they think, and how can they help in the implementation of the AID. Some of the expected outcome, which I may not use all here, will be we are looking for a unified, compact approach. We will have a clear roadmap on aid delivery in Liberia. How are we utilizing funding that comes into the country? How do we use the revenue generated in the economy? How are we going to ensure that all flagship projects under the AARD are fully aligned and are fully funded by all partners, all parties? We also anticipate to have some actionable strategy to mobilize non-traditional partners. As you heard over the news, for the past 2 days, the Minister of Finance and his team, including myself, we went to Kuwait to re-engage our partners who have been financing our road structure in Lofa County and also our port in Sano and other places. And in this direction, what we are doing now, let's look for non-traditional partners, people who have resources, Australia, Brazil, other countries that are willing to help. We have engaged them, and therefore, this retreat will also set the pace where the partners, the private sector, will give us more insight on what we can do as we engage with traditional partners and also non-traditional partners. Participants from the private sector, we anticipate people who are already investing hugely in the economy, from the energy sector, from the mining sector, and almost, we can call them multinational corporations, or call major partner, private sector partners, will be a part of the conversation tomorrow, on Thursday. And in this case, how do we consider it to be strategic? One is that we are planning as a country that in our implementation strategy, what we call donor alignment, we want to be identifying champions in all sectorial aid delivery. For example, we are talking about health and education. The lead donor or lead champion in this sector was USAID. With the departure of USAID funding, or the decline or withdrawal and cancellation, what do we do next? We are going to discuss with our partner who take the lead. In this case, it's going to be the realignment of our implementation strategy. We anticipate to have a technical section after this retreat, not only for the ministry and agency, but all parties to the preparation of our AARD. Another important point that we're going to be considering, and I want the media to take it today, is that the AARD is a social compact that was signed with the Liberian people. President Bouaka signed a social compact, and therefore is urging all partners to ensure the implementation of this social compact is more inclusive, is more effective, is more creative and innovative. That as a game changer, he has come on stage to build relationship, to build this nation, and therefore every discussion Liberian must be creative enough, and their voices have to be on the table. I provided this platform today to just give you highlights of what we're going to be doing on Thursday. On this platform today, we have our partners. The student government have been one of the major donors to this country. We have the United Nations system, who will also come up to just give you a short highlight on their role. And in the process today, this is a takeaway. We are saying the AARD implementation cannot be done with financing strategy to ensure that we meet our target. Inclusive development is something that we want to improve the youth, the disabled community, the women, even the elderly, as we do our implementation. I thank you so much. The government of Liberia is willing to ensure that this plan takes us to the end of the SDG. Therefore, we are willing to put in every time, every effort to ensure Liberians get the best of their resources. I thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity to meet today. And as already been mentioned, there is what we call the government of Liberia and development partners that is taking place on the April at the Ellen Johnson Science Ministerial Complex, Monrovia. I'm the UN resident coordinator, and we'll be hearing from the Swedish ambassador. As UN resident coordinator in the coordination structure of the implementation of the plan, there is the coordination committee and all the different committees to which I co-chair, but we also have the cooperative partners committee to which the Swedish ambassador co-chairs. So for us, this retreat as partners, we see it as pivotal. It's happening at a time when we know, all of us, that over 20 years, Liberia has demonstrated a very consistent journey towards consolidating peace and governance and moving also in its development journey, step by step. We read from Liberia's own national development plan that the country is looking to move from low-income country to a lower middle-income country, and so this is very ambitious. We also note from the plan, the national plan itself, the AID, that it's not a government document, it's a national document, and as already explained, it's a sort of a compact among the Liberians themselves and where they want to see their country going. As partners, we've always been here to accompany that process, which is led by the nation. So, of course, we are in this period in the context of constrained financial landscape globally. But looking at the AID, I think these are things that were already anticipated. Of course, foreign aid has been dwindling and reduced. So it reduced even further. So a dialogue really to hear from the national partners. We're glad to see that private sector is playing a key role in this retreat, civil society, government itself, and the partners, because partnerships in improving how we coordinate and work together, but more importantly to hear about the innovating financing mechanisms and alternative ways, because it's a time when countries are looking themselves to see how they can drive development, but also looking at other ways of financing development. So as already mentioned, it's a good opportunity for mutual accountability, speaking to each other and dialoguing. So really we expect that it will be a high-level engagement. We heard that the president will be himself leading this conversation, and we look forward to the recommendations that will come out. We glad to see the diverse participation in this retreat and the entire interest in the conversation. I'm glad to say actually that when we see the program, for me at least, the speakers, the global speakers who are coming, those who are speaking from New York, or from Addis Ababa, or from, because we have the special advisor of the Secretary General in Africa, we have the Under-Secretary General for the Economic Commission of Africa, we have Africa Regional Director of UNDP, we have the Vice President of the IFC, we have, I think, a resident coordinator from a country who has seen this high level. These people that I'm talking about, I have not seen them addressing a country-specific retreat. I've seen them on regional and global platforms. I've not seen them participating in a national process. So Liberia, through this conversation, is really attracting interest. And also just so for you to know, we've not seen many countries, even after the immediate withdrawal funds that just happened, that analyze the situation, talk about the impact, present to their cabinet, and we heard that Liberia Minister of Finance actually did a quick analysis, discussed with cabinet, on the impact and is now discussing with partners. So this kind of engagement is exemplary and is something that other countries will look to see how such engagements come up with good corporate resolutions, but also seeing how countries, especially in Africa, can, galvanize all internal resources, internal people, work with partners to see how to move to the next level. So just to say that we are again happy for this moment, and for us it's a demonstration that Liberia has always faced different challenges and came out of those challenges quite resilient. So we feel that it's a moment again to reflect and see how Liberia will implement the National Development Plan despite the challenges, but again come out resilient as we move towards transforming this country as the country is. So thank you so much, and happy to be in this country, happy to be part of the partners.
Yeah, very much so.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you mentioned, my name is Paul Matthews. I'm the Swedish ambassador to Liberia, and I'm here in the role that Sweden currently has as the co-chair on the Development Partners for the International Partner side and the Coordination Partners group. I think much has been said already by the Deputy Minister Rule and the resident coordinator, so I won't add much on the retreat that we're looking forward to. Just to say a few points. I think I want to underline what both of them said on the fact that we are facing a changing global landscape and a changing global context. We've seen significant reductions in aid flows to Liberia and across the continent, and most developing countries that are aid recipients have seen a reduction in volumes. And I think we need to be realistic. This money might not come back. We can hope for it, but as the saying goes, let's hope for the best but plan for the worst. And this retreat really is a very good opportunity for us to sit down together as partners to assess and discuss how can we make even better use of the money that we have at our disposal as development partners, as governments, as civil society actors, as private sector. It really is about that partnership that we're looking towards. Sweden is a committed partner to Liberia, and we will remain so. But our funding is limited, and so is funding from all of the other development partners in the country. And therefore, I really welcome the approach that was mentioned by Deputy Minister So, that it's important to look at how different actors can contribute. The private sector, not least, has a key role to play in continuing to supporting and strengthening Liberia, and of course their own at the end of the day, their own role and their own contribution. I also want to underline the importance we as development partners play in ownership. We see that this is very strong from the government side. We know that there is strong recognition of the importance of that. But from the development partner side, at the end of the day, we want to work with committed governments, committed partners who take ownership over the development of the country. And that's another topic I think we will spend a lot of time discussing on Thursday. Lastly, just to also underline the importance of the fact that the meeting on Thursday, it's an important occasion to discuss partnerships, but it's just one step on the way. So while we really look forward to this, what comes after is equally important, perhaps even more so. We need to use this as an opportunity to further strengthen cooperation, to strengthen partnerships, but also to strengthen that dialogue together. So we have our homework to do. We will have a discussion on Thursday. We'll sit down the entire day, but then the conclusions that we draw from that, we must take them forward. And that's a joint responsibility among the different actors who will be participating in the meeting on Thursday. So just to say that again, we're really looking forward to the discussion on Thursday, but also to the work that happens after that as we take that forward. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much to the guests for deliberating, and we'll take
questions. So you listen to the three speakers. As I indicated from the start of the press conference, they will speak. Okay, so they will come to add up something what I said, and then we'll take questions. Please.
Yes, I know. I just didn't give the topic and the highlights that will be important for this retreat. The retreat is focusing on strengthening partnership. But most importantly, we're going to have a panel discussion, which of course is going to have participants from Liberia and the rest of the world. As you heard the RC mention that. But the first section, we're going to be discussing development financing landscape and alternative strategy. That will focus purposely on how do we mobilize resources and what are some of the indicative strategies going to happen. And we're going to have the World Bank going to be a part on this panel. The RRA, African Development Bank, the European Union, Central Bank of Liberia, along with the Ministry of Finance to moderate this section, which will be very much interesting for our partnership. We also have a section on private sector partnership for economic diversification and development. And as I said earlier, we need private sector involvement and engagement more than anything. And therefore, we're going to be looking at how. And one strategy we're looking at now is moving from aid to trade. And this diversification cannot be done without prioritizing private sector and trade development. And last section, during the retreat, we'll be focusing on financing coordination and strategic partnership. As you know, as a developing country, most often decisions in terms of aid effectiveness are always been a debate between donor and recipient country. We want to be looking at it from the perspective that where there will be this partnership and coordination and collaboration, where we're going to have a win-win situation. And it's going to be an interesting section that will also be moderated by the Minister of State, and participants will come from the Ministry of Finance, our development partners, the private sector, and civil society. The person who will also moderate the private sector side will be the Deputy Minister of Commerce. It's going to be the whole of government approach to this implementation of the AAID. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As I mentioned, there will be speakers from global speakers from New York, but also regionally from Addis Ababa. Just to say that part of the interest is that, as you know, the Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030 is coming to an end. And when you see the National Plan of Liberia, within those years up to 2030 when this is ending. So most countries are looking at how are those plans aligned to the SDGs and how are they following the accelerators, the transitions to make the most of these years to come close to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So good to know that when we read the AID, it's a document that's really aligned to the global goals, the SDGs, but also to the Africa Agenda 2063, to the regional agendas in ECOWAS, linking now to the national. So I think the kind of thinking at that level is also going to be helpful to see how are we accelerating to achieve the goals that have been set, both globally and regionally, but also nationally. Thank you so much. I think Minister has already elaborated well how the discussions will go on the different sessions. Thank you so much.
So, dear colleagues, the questions, please for me to come forward. Questions, please.
So the team will leave at the press conference continuing. you have questions, phone the line and give your questions now.
Introduce yourself and the institution you report from.
thanks for coming. My name is Desmond William. I'm a report for Democracy Watch. Thanks for coming to our guests for the deliberation. I have basic concerns. I must begin with the Deputy Minister of Finance. Mr. Minister, the program is a unique one, I must admit, wherein government officials and other dignitaries of our international community will come together to elaborate more on the AARD, development plan of our country. I'm a bit concerned about, yet you have acknowledged the inclusiveness of all civil society actors, but